And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review, and this is Samuel LT from the Super Duper Mega Guild. What's happening, Super Duper Mega Guild? Now, Samuel LT has been playing for about a year, and he's mostly a really small dolphin, and he goes a lot of times throughout the year where he's just free to play, but then there's a little bit of times where he needs a piece of gear and buys it. So I'll classify him as a very small dolphin, but wants to know about Arena. You know, he's in the top 200 for the most part, but he kind of wants to know how to get higher, potentially the raids. Is he ready for Jedi training Rey when she comes back soon? And then ships. Take a look at ships. And so we're going to look at the Arena. The first thing I noticed when I looked at Arena is you're running a Zeta Qui-Gon Jinn. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's a really fun and cool team that you're running. I'm super excited that you're not meta. You're just what you want to be, and that is awesome. But I looked over to the right and I noticed your mods. And so we have to understand the dynamic of an individual as to what mods they should go with. And with the agility training leadership, he gives everybody speed and more damage based on an individual's and more offense based on an individual's speed. And so you want your characters to be as fast as possible, and also you want that base offense to be as high as possible as well. So when we're looking at mods, I noticed things like you got accuracy on here, you've got offense, so that's good there. And then you've got health with no speed secondaries here. And now that they're dropping mods into the store, you can be very selective, and you can go in and with ship currency or regular currency, you can go in and you can get a really good mod actually. And when I say good, I mean like 10 plus speed. And you can eat up as many of those as you want that you have credits for. So I know you don't have probably a ton of credits because you're, like I said, mostly free to play / small dolphin. So it's really difficult, but now is the time to actually hyper focus on getting some of the absolute best mods you can find and roll them up. And this is the opportunity or the time to get rid of ones like this with no speed secondary and health. This is really, it should be protection and it should have speed secondary. So what I noticed when I go through your team is really all of your mods are kind of lackluster or subpar. And so that's the first thing you're going to have to really go through and really focus on. This is your Arena team, right? So Arena means your absolute best mods. And if these are your absolute best mods, we are in trouble, because after a year of mod farming and or getting mods, you should have a better set of Arena mods. Now, I know it's hard to get more than about 60 to 80 speed on a character, but if you even had 60 to 80 plus speed on each character, that would make me extremely happy. The other thing is you have the old school Yoda on this team, and I know he's super fast, especially under Qui-Gon Jinn, and he can stun and remove turn meter and some cool stuff. But looking at your characters, I did notice R2-D2, and R2-D2 makes this team way better than with Yoda on the team. Now, R2-D2 is 6 stars, gear 8. That is not Arena viable yet, but if you can get R2-D2 maxed out, focus on him, make him your #1 priority, you can put him in, get him to gear 12, and put him into that with Qui-Gon Jinn, R2-D2, Jedi Knight Anakin, Old Ben is your tank, and then you could even have Barisafi in there. Barisafi will prevent everybody who's trying to crit you from actually killing you, and she'll be a healer. Old Ben's going to take the heat off the team. R2-D2 brings the burn and the stun, and Qui-Gon Jinn brings additional speed and offense for the team, so everybody hits harder. Jedi Knight Anakin will be your main damage dealer aside from Qui-Gon Jinn, and he's going to kind of help protect the team, so when someone starts to get hurt, he can kind of come in and save the day with additional damage. So it's not a bad team, and you could definitely place much higher, but you need R2-D2 in this lineup, and you need to really assess hard your mod situation and go into the store and look. And when you find a mod that has, you know, a speed mod that has 30 plus speed or whatever on an arrow, get it. Every character should have a speed arrow. There's even white speed arrows that are for sale now for like 1 million credits, and it's going to be guaranteed 30 additional speed. So all your characters should have 30 additional speed minimum right out the gate with that. And then there's a lot of mods that are in there now that are for regular credits or ship credits, and you can buy for 1, 2, or 3 million of those credits that already show 5+ speed. And then when they roll, there's a really good chance they're going to roll at least once up, and you'll get another 5 or so, and you'll be about 10 plus speed. This is your opportunity, because they said it's for a limited time. This is your opportunity to waste all your credits in both sides to really try and get the best mods possible. It's really to your detriment to not take advantage of this limited opportunity to get mods that have a plus 10 speed on them now. It's not as hard as you think. I know credits are always the number one thing that's the issue, but Arena should become your number one priority. And with a few Gear 12 characters, you should be able to really own it and be in the top 100 in Arena. So that's my suggestion as far as regular Arena. Now, I also noticed you didn't have Thrawn, and I know you asked about, you know, Rey Jedi Training and BB-8 and stuff. And so Thrawn, Rey Jedi Training, and BB-8, those are all characters you should be wanting to get. And Thrawn is just, in my opinion, the absolute singular best player in the game, but best character in the game for Darkseid. For Darkseid, he's the most utilitarian character ever. He's one of the best leads. Before the Emperor Palpatine rework, he was unequivocally the best leader. Now he's, you know, tied for number one, depending on your team composition. And he is just an amazing character that you can plug into any team. In fact, you could plug him into your team you have now with the Jedi. You'd be surprised how amazing it'd be. But your Phoenix aren't ready. So this wasn't on your radar, or at least you didn't mention Thrawn, but I would actually work on these characters. You've got 3 of them to 7-star, Gear 7. You're probably going to need to take them to at least Gear 8, and then I would get Ezra up to probably Gear 10, and you need to finish off Hera and Ezra's star level so you can get Thrawn. Now remember, you need BB-8 to get your Jedi Training Rey, and so you're wanting to know if you're almost ready for Jedi Training Rey, and so first you got to get First Order ready so you can get BB-8. And I, looking at your First Order, think that you are going to be just fine for the next time BB-8 rolls around, metaphorically and literally. And so First Order is looking pretty good. When it hits, when BB-8 hits, he'll probably hit just before event-wise Jedi Training Rey. So be on the lookout. Once you see BB-8, you're going to be like, uh-oh, I've got to now focus on the Jedi Training Rey event coming up soon. So I do think you're good enough here on the First Order. You should, especially the stars. It's really hard to get the stars up on First Order, TIE Pilot, and Stormtrooper. So really good that those characters are done. And if during the event you just can't beat it, you can always pop another couple pieces of gear on someone to, you know, to make your team a little more durable. But for now, just get their abilities at level 7 minimum, and you should be able to go through that event to get your BB-8. Of course, you've already got the other characters from Resistance ready to go for when Jedi Training Rey comes back. So then it just comes down to veteran smuggler Han and Chewie, and you have a 6-star and a 4-star. So the gear is fine. I wouldn't worry about the gear so much, but I would hyper focus on definitely starring them and getting their star level up. So you definitely want to, you know, level up the veteran smuggler, Han and Chewie. Finish off Chewie. You've only got 1 star left, and then once you have that done, then you can go to Han Solo. So pretty awesome. I would definitely finish those 2 guys off. And it looks like you're doing really well. You know, she's probably not coming back for a month or 2. And in a month or 2, you probably will be able to get both of these guys if these are your hyper focus in Cantina. So in Cantina, this would be the pair or the duo that I would be super focused on as far as finishing off so you're ready for Jedi Training Rey. Now, I know I sound like a broken record, and I'm sure you knew this was coming, but there are 2 teams that you can use for the heroic AAT that come out of Resistance, and so those are the 2 teams I'm going to recommend. I'm always recommending them now. They're my go-to teams, so write them down and tell everybody these are the 2 teams you should use for now, especially for people who don't spend a whole lot of money in the game, who are either a really small dolphin or below. These 2 teams are going to become hypercritical. The first is obviously going to be a Finn, Poe Dameron, Resistance Pilot, Resistance Trooper, and Race Scavenger team. You'll need them all 7 stars, and you could do phase 2 or phase 3 or phase 4. I mean, you can use it in any of the phases, and it'll get you a good chunk of multiple millions, depending upon how developed they are, is depending upon how much damage output you'll get. But you can get anywhere from 2 million to 12 million with this team. So that is your first team. That then frees up your soon-to-be-had Rey, your R2-D2, and your soon-to-have BB-8. And then you can pair those 3, Rey, R2, and BB-8, with either CLS and Han Solo, or CLS and Thrawn. So it's really up to you. Those back two slots can be anybody that you'd like, but CLS and Han Solo or CLS and Thrawn. Thrawn is going to fracture, remove turn meter, slow the roll, especially in phase 3, and Han Solo is going to remove turn meter and do a ton of damage. CLS removes turn meter and does a ton of damage. Both are very durable. So either way, those are the characters you want to focus on. So you're going to have to continue to do the rancor, and then once you got the rancor done enough that you get your Han Solo 7 stars. Also, to do Thrawn in this team, you're going to have to focus on the Phoenix squad, like I mentioned earlier, and you're going to have CLS 7 stars as well. So with that said, you know what you're shooting for, but you're not quite there yet. So there's that. Now, as far as rancor goes, we obviously need CLS for the rancor. He's really the best, and so you want to see, you need CLS anyway, so you want to look at how to get CLS. And of course R2D2, you'll get him to 7 stars the next time that comes around. You've got Princess Leia, you've got Luke Skywalker, and you've got Stormtrooper Han and Old Ben. So the next time he comes around, you should be able to get CLS. Make him, once you unlock him, a top farming priority as far as gear goes, and get him leveled up. And then of course Han Solo, he's 5 stars, but get him to 7 stars. You don't have to have Han Solo. In fact, CLS can do the solo by himself, but you're gonna have to have him plus 220 speed if at all possible, but at minimum 200 speed. And with multiple damage dealers and turn meter reducers, you can solo the rancor on auto, in fact, but CLS can do it by himself. I personally choose to use CLS and Han Solo. I've gotten their speeds to about 220, and at 220 I can press auto and walk away, and it's done. So Han Solo's got some development. CLS you got to unlock and then develop up, and of course gearing these characters are critical, and then of course modding them critically to get to the 220 speed goal is really where you want to be, but that's going to help you with rancor. So you've got some goals with rancor and goals with resistance. As far as rancor now, I actually have a video on the team with Darth Vader Zeta led team, and then you can use characters such as Royal Guard for the speed down, TIE Fighter Pilot for the tenacity down, Emperor Palpatine, Grand Moff Tarkin, whoever, and they all have a percentage chance to reduce turn meter. And so you could do a turn meter reduction team like that. But again, there's a lot of characters, a lot of development. And so in the meantime, if you don't want to use, Tebow and try to remove turn meter with Tebow and have a Darth Vader led Zeta team and things like that, you'll want to focus on those characters to get your CLS. And then once you have CLS, you'll want to just max him out, get him maxed out. If there was ever a character that you were going to small dolphin out on, small dolphin out on your CLS when you get him. Now, as far as ships go, there's a couple of things. One, you're using Mace, and that's okay. He's a good ship. He's great for target lock, and it's keeping you in the top 100. And you have Biggs, and you got a couple of ties, so you can call them to assist with your Jedi Consular. So that's some really interesting synergy there. And so that's good, what you have, but we want to focus on where you're going, and where you're going is hopefully at some point going to be Thrawn and his Chimera. And so you have the 5 ships I would actually recommend for the Chimera, but you're going to have to continue to develop both the pilots a little bit, especially for Biston's U-Wing, and then you're going to want to also continue to develop the stars. You're going to want to get these at some point to 7 stars. But the good news is you have them all unlocked, and so now you can start to work on their crew members, and you can start to work on the abilities and the star count for these particular ships. But work these ships. These should be your #1 priority to get them up so you can get the Chimera. And then once you have the Chimera, the kind of the perfect build right now underneath Chimera is going to be Biggs Darklighter, of course, is your tank, the TIE fighters, the First Order TIE Fighter, the TIE Advanced, and the Imperial TIE Fighter, which you have kind of down the way. You're going to have to gear up that Imperial TIE Fighter. Side note, gearing up the Imperial TIE Fighter will help you both in ships and in the Rancor if you choose to take him in under the Darth Vader-led team. So definitely want to get the Imperial TIE Fighter. And then, of course, you're also going to want the TIE Reaper, which you have at 3 stars, but you need to get the crew members leveled up, geared up, and all that good stuff. So make sure that you start to really hyper focus on the TIE Reaper. In the meantime, you could actually put in either Plo Koon's ship, Sun Fac's ship, or the Umbaran Starfighter. One of those 3 ships to the left could easily replace the TIE Reaper at first. Plo Koon's ship will make your team faster. Sun Fac will give you a double tank option, and the Umbaran Starfighter will help dispel all of that crap on the other side that's causing you issues. And it's the tankiest of the three. So I'd really recommend the Umbaran Starfighter until your TIE Reaper is ready. Your TIE Reaper is viable at 3 stars as far as the ship is concerned, but your crew members really need to be leveled up higher than where they're currently at for the actual ship to become viable. So we're going to recommend for now the Executrix, Biggs, First Order TIE Fighter, the TIE Advanced, the Imperial TIE Fighter, and then the Umbaran. Okay, those are probably the top 5 I'd recommend for now. And then you could also have the Scimitar, which needs a lot of love. He's at level 1, 4-star, with a gear level 5 Boba Fett, but you would definitely put him in the first slot for backup. He'll come in and he'll false taunt on your Umbaran, and that is really powerful combination for you. And then have Slave 1 and Poe Dameron after the fact. And your Poe Dameron is decent, 4 stars, gear 7 for the character, so you'll want to continue to develop him. And then, of course, you're at 5 stars on Slave 1. And so, like I said, it looks like ships haven't been a super priority for you, but it does look like you're in an easier leaderboard than some of the leaderboards out there, so it's kind of forgiving. But I would hyper-focus on your ships. You asked about ships, so that's my suggestion. Eventually, you'll want to move to the Thrawn's Chimera from the Executrix, but you got to get those Rebel ships up. And then, of course, at some point, you'll have Biggs, First Order TIE Pilot, TIE Advanced, the Imperial TIE Fighter, and then the TIE Reaper. But for now, replace that 5th slot with the Umbaran. And then in the backup, you'll want Scimitar, Slave 1, and Poe's X-Wing. If any of those characters need developed, and pretty much all of them do, put them in your favorites with your arena team and start to focus on the gear and star levels for those abilities. Don't forget to leave 5-dot mods on all those characters at level 15, and make sure that you put all of their abilities up. And anytime you have extra Omegas, make sure you Omega all of their abilities. It will make a huge difference in ships. I hope this helps you focus. I know in the first year it's tough. You kind of do what you do, and then you are halfway between getting some characters and halfway between getting other characters, and you're getting pulled in multiple directions. Make sure that you do focus on getting CLS when he comes out. It looks like you're ready for that. It looks like you're ready for BB-8, and as soon as you do that, you just need your vets up to get your Jedi Training Rey. But Thrawn is the one that you're actually farthest from, and it's the character you should be getting first, so you definitely want to focus on your Phoenix squad as well. And Ezra, you definitely will probably want to take to gear 10 just to make sure you get through that event without any problems. As always, if anyone has any comments or questions, leave them down below, and keep your gaming on. Warrior, out.